And I'm going to throw in the squeezy ball. So if you have a couch cushion, a stuffed animal, something to squeeze between your knees, we're going to add a little bit of abs today. All right, my friends, it is 8 o'clock, and do make sure that you are muted so that you don't accidentally become the star of today's show. It is being recorded, but as long as you stay on mute, I don't have to do any editing to make sure you are cut out. I won't put you on YouTube. I'll just put me on YouTube. So you'll be able to find today's class online in the future. But for now, it is easier if I chop the beginning and the end off the video and not have to scan through and pick and slice things out in the middle of class. So speak now or hold your peace till the end of class. So last minute requests, I'll take them now just so I can edit the video easily, and then we'll get started. So speak now. Let me know what you're in the mood for. Otherwise, I have decided we're going to do some ab stuff and yoga stuff. And to that end, you're going to need a ball, your blocks, your belt, your pillow, and your space on the floor. All right. If we haven't met before, my name is Brandy. Welcome to Sunday Morning Yoga. We're going to start by lying down with all your toys nearby. You might consider putting a pillow underneath your head. Let your feet go as wide apart as your mat. Turn your toes in. Let your knees lean together. Let your hands rest down low on your belly. Turn your attention inward. Close your eyes. And with your hands resting on your tummy, feel your belly rise and fall with each breath. Big belly breaths. And as you settle in, accept the support of the earth. Let your muscles hang from the bones. And feel your back body spread out across the floor. All right. Heel toe wiggle your feet closer to each other. And then bringing one knee at a time, bring both knees in towards your chest. Hold on with one hand on each knee. And rock your hips side to side, walking your hips away from your shoulders, spreading your lower back out across the floor. And coming to neutral, still with one hand on each knee. You're going to straighten your arms, pushing those knees away. And then open your knees out to the side, wrap them around to center, and bring them back in. Push out, around, together, and out, around, together. So it's kind of like you're flapping some butterfly wings here, circling those knees around, feeling your thigh bones interact with your pelvis and your lower back, moving all over the floor here. Circling around and around, letting your arms do the work so that those hip and back muscles can relax and spread out across the floor. Stirring around and around with those arms. And now you're going to fly backwards. Reverse the direction, circling out, together, and in. Out, together, and in. Circling around and around and around and around and around and around and around. Again, think about shutting your legs off. Let your arms do the work. And come to neutral. With one hand on each knee, straighten your arms. Bring your thighs together. Keep your thighs together and hug everything into your chest. Keeping your legs together, you might be able to wrap your hands around your shins, maybe even interlace your fingers. Let those thighs snuggle down against your belly. Let your shoulders relax away from your ears. You wiggle your jaw, stretch your face, maybe even yawn. Shake your head no. Let your shoulders melt down away from your ears. And those knees, those thighs, squish down against your guts. Feeling that lower back spreading across the floor. So here with your arms wrapped around your legs, thighs squishing down against your ribs, there's really not a lot of space to breathe into if you're trying to take deep belly breaths. But I encourage you, I challenge you to take those deep belly breaths and let that breath press into your lower back. So breathing against your thighs, feel that lower back spreading against the floor. And then release your arms. Now, without using your hands, you can take your arms out to the sides. Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, hug those knees in tighter, closer to your chest without using your hands. And inhale, relax. And as you exhale, hug those knees tighter, closer to your chest. And inhale, relax. And exhale, hug those knees in again. And inhale, relax. All right, you get to set one foot, set both feet down on the ground, and find your squeezable thing. It could be a squishy ball from the dollar store. It could be a stuffed animal. It could be a fat little couch cushion, something that has a little bit of give. Even one of these foamy blocks will do, maybe on the medium width. Something down there between your thighs. Feet are about hip width apart, flat down on the ground. Once again, hands are going to come rest on your belly. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, squish the ball. As you exhale, squeeze your thighs together, press your breath out, and feel the effect on your lower back. And inhale, relax. As you exhale, press the breath out, squeeze the ball. Inhale, relax. Exhale, squeeze the ball, press the breath out. Inhale, relax. So as you do this, keep going. Each and every exhale is an opportunity to squeeze the ball, press your breath out, and feel how your lower back interacts with the floor. When you inhale, you relax. Exhale, effort. E for exertion, E for exhale, E for effort, and inhale, relax. Keep working. Each and every exhalation, you engage. You do the exercise. And as you inhale, you relax. So as you are engaging the pelvic floor muscles. You're squeezing your inner thighs against that ball. And as you inhale, you relax. You're beginning to engage that pelvic floor, the lower abs, lower abs of Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor lock or lift. So as you squeeze the ball, think about pulling in on that pelvic floor, lifting it up into your body. So as you exhale, squeeze the ball, pull in on that pelvic floor, and inhale, relax all effort. Two more just like this. Exhale, engaging Mula Bandha, and inhale, relax. And one more time. Exhale, engaging Mula Bandha, and relax. Now you're going to leave that ball there, and you're going to continue engaging on your exhalations. But now we're going to do a little bit more abdominal engagement, not just the lower abs and pelvic floor. We're going to be moving our way up, hopefully engaging our entire core musculature by the end of this sequence. For now, fingertips find the hip bones and thumbs find the lower front ribs. So fingertips on hip bones, thumbs on the front ribs. So we're going to engage this region now. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, squeeze the ball, but also tuck in those front ribs like you're getting tickled and shorten the distance between hip bones and rib cage. And inhale, relax. As you exhale, engage, tuck in those front ribs. Do a little pelvic thrust tilt to feel a wrinkle across your abs. And inhale, release. Keep on going. Exhale, squeezing the ball, tucking in your front ribs, pulling in that pelvic floor, pressing out all the breath, and inhale, relax. Keep going. A lot going on here. I won't be able to describe everything every time, but hopefully you can remember. And inhale, relax. Again, as you exhale, you're squeezing that ball, pulling in and up on that pelvic floor, tucking in your front ribs, shortening your abs, and feeling the effect on your lower back. All right, one more time. Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, engage. And release. All right, reach down, grab a hold of that ball. Bring one knee at a time, both knees into your chest, and once again, tuck that ball between your thighs. So we're doing the same thing now with our feet up off the ground. Ball between your thighs, feet up off the floor. Fingertips on those hip bones, thumbs on the front ribs. Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, squeeze the ball, tuck in your front ribs. And can you bring those knees tighter, closer to your chest without using your hands? And inhale, release. And as you exhale, squeeze. And inhale, release. And as you exhale, squeeze. And release. And one more time. Exhale, squeeze. And release. Cross one big toe on top of the other. So you're hooking, crossing one big toe on top of the other. Let your heels go wide. So with one big toe cross on top of the other and your heels go wide, you're going to feel your lower legs engage a little bit more. Thighs stay narrow, hugging against that ball. Thumbs on the front ribs, fingertips on the hip bones. Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, hug those knees in tighter, closer to your chest. Can you keep all of this working and take your arms out to the sides? Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, hug those knees in tighter, closer to your chest. This is your starting position. Inhale, prepare once again. And as you exhale, hug those knees in tighter, closer to your chest. And then take both knees halfway over to the left and inhale, hold. And as you exhale, hug those knees in tighter, closer to your chest and inhale to center. And as you exhale, halfway over to the right, inhale, pause. Exhale, hug it tighter, closer to your chest and inhale to center. As you exhale, halfway over to the left, inhale, pause. Exhale, hug it tighter, closer to your chest and inhale to center. So you're making a happy face, a horseshoe shape. Exhale, halfway over, inhale, pause. Exhale, hug it in tighter, closer and inhale to center. Once more on each side. Exhale, halfway over to the left. Inhale, pause. Exhale, hug it in tighter, closer and inhale to center. Exhale, halfway over to the right. Inhale, pause. Exhale, hug it in tighter, closer and inhale to center. Get to reach down, remove that ball, set it aside. You can take your legs up, roll your ankles out. I know my feet kind of cramp when I do that one. I'm really working hard. Gonna roll those ankles around a few times. And then maybe roll those ankles around the other way. Give those knees a hug. And once again, rock from side to side. Feel your lower back on the floor. And you might feel a lot more of your lower back on the floor than when we first started class. Coming to neutral. One hand on each knee, straighten your arms, moving those knees away from your chest. Bringing your legs together. Bring those knees in only so far as they'll come with your thighs together. And then transfer both hands over onto that right knee. You're going to take your left leg straight up in the air. Flex both feet flat. Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, squeeze everything in towards midline. Pull in your front ribs. Hug that right knee tighter, closer to your chest. Feel even more of your lower back on the floor. Abs are engaged. And your challenge is to keep this much of your lower back on the floor. Feel that back bra line on the ground as you lower the left leg down only so far as it will go with your back bra line, your back ribs, your back waist still making contact with the ground. And you might not get very far. You're going to find a stopping point where your back wants to detach from the ground, but you're not going to let it. Maybe even ease off a little bit, lift that leg up a little bit so that lower back stays connected. So yes, this left leg is straight, but it is short. It is plugged in, like you're pulling on really tight leggings. Leg is short, plugged into your pelvis, helping to keep that lower back stuck to the ground. And then bring it in. One hand on each knee, rock a little bit from side to side. I'm going to do this a few times. First time, you're not going to go very far at all. Come to neutral. Once again, with one hand on each knee, straighten your arms. Bring your legs together. Keep your legs together. Bring everything back into your chest. Transfer both hands over to your left knee. Right leg goes straight up in the air. Again, your legs are narrow. Want to engage that pelvic floor, part of your core musculature. Begin with an inhale. As you exhale, hug those knees in tighter, closer to your chest. Exhale, exertion, activate those abs. Keep your abs nice and strong. Feet flex flat. Lower that right leg down only so far as it's going to go, with that lower back making good solid contact with the ground. Again, it's as if you're pulling on those tight Spanx, those tight yoga leggings. Leg is short, plugged into your pelvis, lower back stuck to the ground. Inhale. And as you exhale, bring it back in and give it a good hug. All right, find your belt. We're going to advance. Continue this. Have your belt ready to go. With one hand on each knee, once again, straighten your arms. Bring your legs together. Bring your legs back into your chest while they are stuck together. They might not go as far as you want them to go, but keep them stuck together. Transfer both hands over to that right knee. Feel where that right thigh is touching your ribs, where the right thigh is touching your belly. Left leg's going to go straight up in the air. Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, pull that leg deep into your pelvis. As you lower the leg down, keep pulling it deep into your pelvis as it is lowered down. It might go a little bit further this time. Keep it plugged in. Only letting it go so far down as it goes, with that lower back making good contact with the ground. Feeling that right thigh making contact with your abs, contact with your ribs. And the proof is in your hairstyle. As you exhale, make sure those abs are engaged. Bring that left leg back up. And if your hair didn't get messed up, if your torso didn't slide on the ground, you had good technique. You were using your abs. You're wondering what this belt is about. I'll get to that belt. One hand on each knee. Once again, straightening your arms. Bring those legs together. Bring them back into your chest. Transfer both hands over to that left knee, left thigh. Right leg goes straight up, foot flex flat. Inhale, prepare. And again, as you exhale, abs are strong. Working here, even as you let that right leg lower down. You're going to find that stopping point, wherever that happens to be. Inhale. And as you exhale, bring that right leg back up. And as you bring that right leg back up, just go ahead and lasso that with a belt. We're just going to advance to the next level here, where both legs go straight. Cross one big toe on top of the other. You can loop the belt around the back of your hands a few times. You can hold on without that white knuckle depth grip. You can relax your fingers and hold on at the same time. One big toe cross on top of the other. That helps keep the legs super, super straight. Toes in, heels out, legs locked straight. Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, bring everything in a little bit tighter, closer to your chest. Feel that lower back on the floor. Maybe climb up the belt to hold on closer to that right foot. Keeping the legs super, super straight. Thighs are narrow. Mula bandha, pelvic floor pulled in, front ribs tucked in. Exhale on the exertion. Let that left leg lower down. Only so far as it's going to go, with your back ribs still making contact with the ground. Abs are working. Front ribs are tucked in. If you had an extra set of hands, you would have those thumbs on your front ribs, making sure those front ribs are tucked in. Fingertips on the hip bones, making sure that distance between hip bones and rib cage is still very short. Shoulders relaxed away from your ears, shoulders down away from your ears. Nice. Relaxed face. Abs are working on this one. Now this left leg is descending down. You have control over it. You keeping it short, pulled into your pelvis, back ribs, back waist, making contact with the floor. This is not about putting your left leg down on the ground. It's about keeping your back ribs on the floor. All right, inhale. And as you exhale, bring that left leg back on up. You can slip the left foot in, slip the right foot out. Get ready to do the other side. You might need to adjust. One side is different than the other. Cross one big toe on top of the other, shoulders down away from your ears. Abs are strong. Hug everything in tighter, closer to your chest to start, to make sure you have a good connection with those back, waist, back ribs on the ground. And then let that right leg descend down. Only so far as it's going to go, with your back ribs and back waist on the floor. Shoulders relaxed away from your ears, relaxed face. I'm using a pillow. You might want to have a pillow under your head too, just so that upper body can stay relaxed. This is abs and hamstrings, in case you haven't noticed. It's not neck and shoulders. Front ribs and belly pull in. Right leg is short. And as you exhale, bring that right leg back on up. Again, good technique means nothing changed in your upper body. All right, I'm going to set the belt aside and set those knees down. This is where you can either use the ball, if you have one of these squishy Dollar Tree balls, or blocks. I think blocks are more common, so I'm going to talk you through using blocks. If you have blocks, you're going to stack them up like a layered cake, one block on top of the other. And you're going to be putting these blocks underneath your hips, and that means your hips are going to be lifting higher than your heart, which means no pillow underneath your head. So nothing underneath your head for this supported bridge pose. So you can either use the stack of blocks or the ball. Ball's about the same height as a stack of blocks, depending on which ball you have. The ball is less stable, requires more effort. Blocks are easier. So knees bent, feet flat. Exhale, do that little pelvic thrust. Tilt, squeeze your thighs together, peel your hips up off the floor, and tuck some bricks underneath your butt, if you got them. And they go wide width across your butt. Across, wide width, if you're using blocks. If you're not using blocks, you can have that squishy ball right there between the cheeks. Hips are supported on something so that you can bring one knee, both knees, into your chest. That squishy ball is less stable, does require a little bit more abs, so you choose your own adventure. Hugging those knees in towards your chest, one hand on each knee. Take a moment to straighten those arms, bring those legs together, and bring those knees back into your chest, only so far as they'll go with your legs tied together. Both hands transfer over to that right knee. Left leg goes straight in the air. Hey, we've been here before. Begin with an inhale. Squeeze everything in, narrow towards midline. And as you exhale, lower that left leg down. No way is that left leg touching the floor if you're keeping your back ribs down on the ground. Still using your abs, scooped in belly the entire time. Straight leg pulled into your pelvis. Right knee hugging against your ribs. Nice deep breaths. Relax your shoulders, neck, and jaw. You're really getting a good, strong psoas muscle stretch. So good for opening up the front body so you have good upright posture. And you're doing a bit of abs work. So inhale. And as you exhale, bring that leg back up. Again, like I said, if there's not a lot of movement in the upper body, you've got good technique. Bring both knees to your chest. One hand on each knee, straightening your arms, bringing your knees together, bringing your knees back into your chest. They should be coming a lot closer to your chest, especially this third, fourth time through. Holding on to that left knee, right leg goes up, foot flex flat. Legs are narrow. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, make sure those abs are strong. Let that right leg lower down, only so far as it's going to go. With those back ribs still reaching towards the floor. Short abs. The distance between hip bones and rib cage is very short. And again, if you're on a squishy ball that's less stable, it does give you a little bit more feedback. It does work on those blocks as well, though. As you bring that leg back up, if nothing is moving in the torso, good technique. And hug both knees to your chest. Get to set one foot down, set both feet down. Lift your hips up, remove whatever was underneath, and come on down. It's going to feel like your butt is in a hole. That's what we're going for. If you want to replace that pillow underneath your head, you can go there. Not required. But you do want to feel like your hips are in a hole. And take a moment to really spread them out because you want maximum adhesion. You want your hips and lower back to really stick to the ground for what's coming up next. So spread everything out. Bring those knees into your chest. Rock it out side to side. Spread it out. Stick it to the floor. And then let's turn this into a happy baby. Running your hands through the insides of your legs, holding on to the arches of your feet or your calves. Or if you got long fingers, you can hold on to your peace fingers around your big toes. Go for your happy baby, keeping that lower back stuck to the floor. Or maybe you're holding on to the inside of your legs, holding on to your calves, maybe holding on to the arches of your feet, or holding on to those big toes. Whatever you're holding on to, set yourself to rocking. Pull down on one side and then pull down on the other. Let yourself rock side to side. Really feeling that lower back. Making good solid contact. Coming to neutral, bring the bottoms of your feet together. You might be able to reach down if you have long enough arms around the pinky toe sides of your feet and interlace your fingers. Feet are together, knees are wide. Big belly breaths. And then let's come to neutral. Bring those knees together, knees snuggled in close to your chest. I'm going to orient myself so that we're all going the same direction. Hopefully the right and left won't be so confusing. You have all your toys nearby and that belt handy. We're going to go for one heck of a hamstring stretch. So pillow can go underneath your head. You might want to use a pillow if your nose or if your chin is sticking up higher than your nose. You want to put a pillow underneath your head so that your nose is higher than your chin. The back of your neck is long. And bring one knee at a time, both knees into your chest, hugging those knees in once again. Coming to neutral. Then take both hands around the back of the right thigh. Interlace your fingers around the back of that right thigh. Flex both feet flat. Left leg is straight, right leg is bent. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, kick out and sit up. And as you kick out and sit up, you're going to sit up. Inhale. Let that right thigh be very heavy in your hands, pushing the back of that right leg heavily into your hands. Resist yourself. Let your back round as you slowly slouch and lie back down, pulling your tummy in, feeling that lower back making contact with the ground, feeling that right leg get a stretch. My left leg is down on the floor. My left foot is flexed flat. Left leg is squeezing in towards midline. Inhale. As you exhale, pull that tummy in, lift your head and shoulders up, climb up your right leg. And this is where you might need to use the belt. Nothing wrong with that. Holding on to the bottom of the foot, using a belt, looping the belt around the back of your hands a few times. I've got my head and shoulders up off the ground because I'm trying to hold on as close as I can to that right foot. Inhale. And as you exhale, pull that tummy in tight and lie down. Let the weight of your head and shoulders drag that leg in closer, tighter towards your body. Inhale again. And as you exhale, lift your head and shoulders up, transfer both hands into your both ends of the belt into your right hand. So if this is your right leg, you're holding on with your right hand. Left hand is now free to find your tummy. Thumb on your front ribs, fingertips on hip bones, crunching using those abs, lifting yourself up a little bit more, holding on as close as you can to that right foot. Abs are engaged. Left leg squeezing in towards midline. And then as you lie down, let that right leg open out to the side. Still using your abs. Front ribs are tucked in. Distance between hip bones and rib cage is still very short. Abs are engaged. This left hand is free to remind you to twist your belly to the left. As you twist your belly to the right, left, you might be able to fidget your shoulders so they lie a little flatter. You're getting one heck of a stretch on that right inner thigh. You are still lying down flat on the ground, and this left leg is squeezing in towards midline. And for that matter, that left leg is pulling into your pelvis. Still trying to keep as much of that lower back ribs making contact with the ground as you can. And then soften and bring everything back to center. I'm going to do that same thing on the other side. So have that belt ready to go. But for now, one hand on each knee. Take a moment to push those knees away from your chest. Bring those knees together and then hug them back in. Take both hands behind the back of the left leg. Right leg goes straight. Left leg is bent. Both feet are flexed flat. Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, kick out, sit up. You're letting that lower back reach for the floor as you round down, pulling in that tummy, activating your abs as you lie down. Feel that lower back making contact with the ground. Exhale, lift your head and shoulders up, climb up the leg, and you might use that belt to help you lasso the foot. Again, you're still lifting your head and shoulders up, climbing up that leg, holding on as close as you can to the foot. The right leg is still squeezing in towards midline. Pelvic floor is still engaged as you lie back down, going for maximum stretch on this left hamstring. Exhale, lift your head and shoulders up again. Transfer both ends of the belt into that left hand. Right hand finds those front ribs. So you are crunching, you're lifting your head and shoulders up. Thumb on the front ribs, fingertips on hip bones. Abs are strong and short and tight. Right leg is squeezing in towards midline. Right leg is short, engaged. Those back ribs making contact with the ground. And then as you lie down, let that left leg open up. Feeling that big inner thigh stretch. Right hand on your tummy. Tummy is twisting to the right. Front ribs are tucked in. Short right leg. Everything compact, engaged. Pelvic floor pulled in. Inhale. And as you exhale, bring it back in and give your knees a hug. All right, knees come into your chest. Rocking side to side. Pick a side, any side, and roll on over. We're going to come on up, two hands and knees. So that pillow can now go underneath your knees, especially if the floor is hard. Other toys out of the way for a moment. Hands and knees. Knees underneath hips, hands underneath shoulders, toes curled under for that added foot stretch. Inhale, head up, tail up, coming into that sway back cow. And exhale, arch your back for cat. And work it out. Inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. Back and forth. And the next time you exhale into that cat pose, feel that fullness in your lower back, the way your back ribs are puffing up towards the ceiling. Keep that fullness in the back body. Keep the belly lifted up into your torso. As you stretch that right leg straight back behind you, pressing hard through the heel. Abs are engaged. Tummy is strong. Pressing hard through that right heel, feeling that right calf muscle stretch. Your hands are directly beneath your shoulders are shrugged away from your ears, and you're pressing down into your hands, feeling strong, pressing hard through the right heel, pressing hard into your hands. You might just be able to lift that left knee up and hover it 1 inch off the mat. Set it back down, set both knees down. Inhale, head up, tail up. And as you exhale, come into that cat pose. Tummy is strong, lifted into your body. Stretch that left leg straight back behind you, pressing hard through the heel. Hands pressing into the ground, elbows unlocked. Left heel pressing straight back. Abs are strong. You might be able to float that right knee up. Just 1 inch or so off the mat. And release, both knees down. Inhale, head up, tail up. And exhale, arch your back. Toes are curled under. Now lift both knees up, just 1 inch off the ground, and hover. And set your knees down. Inhale, head up, tail up. And as you exhale, pull that tummy in, arch your back. Lift your knees up 1 inch. We're going to call this bear. And knees down. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Knees up for bear. Knees down. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Knees up, bear. Knees down. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Knees up, bear. Can you wiggle your heels back until you find yourself in plank, pressing through both heels at the same time? Knees down. And take a moment to sit back over your heels and roll those wrists out. I got a little wrist stretch for you. So take a few moments to fan your fingers and watch what's happening. Because what you're going to do is fan your fingers, put the backs of your hands down on the ground, and then open and shut them, open, shut them, open, shut them. So when this starts to make sense to you, you can join me here. And breathe. And I challenge you to curl those fists tight and then flare those fingers wide. Curl and straighten. And it'll start to get a little easier. You might be able to make tighter fists after a few reps. Again, maybe glance up at the screen here, because what I'm going to ask you to do now is spin in the direction of your pinky fingers. You see my hands dialing on the ground? Spin in the direction of the pinky fingers and try it again. I know it's funky. It looks weird. It took me a moment to get my brain to figure out what was going on there. And release. Oh, fanning out those fingers. Two thumbs up. Thumbs out to the sides. Palms up. Thumbs out to the sides, palms up. Back of your hands on the ground. Shifting forward. Oh. Bending elbows and straightening. Bending elbows and straightening. That's kind of what it looks like from the side. I don't know if showing you from the front helps, but dialing out in the direction of the thumbs, bending and straightening at the elbows. And then release. Okay. Now that we stretched out the wrists, coming back to those hands and knees. Toes curled under. Inhale, head up, tail up. Exhale, arch your back for cat. Knees up for bear. Knees, hips back into your downward facing dog. Fingers are spread wide. You can take your feet as wide apart as the mat. Spread your fingers and back your hips up. Nice long stretch in this down dog. With your feet as wide apart as your mat, you can take your dog for a jog, pedaling your feet. Letting your hips shift side to side. Let your hips swish and sway side to side as you jog your dog. As you jog your dog, your hips side to side, make sure those fingers are spread wide. Your hands are like starfish. And then start to work your feet narrow, closer to each other. Bending one knee then the other, pedaling your feet. Feeling those calves stretch. Stretching back through both legs at the same time. And rising on up to your tippy toes. Bend your knees down to the ground, still with those tippy toes curled under, and sit back over your heels. Make sure those pinky toes are curled under. And then flare your heels out to the sides. So you're sitting heavily back over your heels. You can interlace your fingers, press your palms out. Pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly, bringing those arms overhead. Bending your elbows, hands come behind your head. It's a little bit more challenging with your palms turned up. It's easier with your palms towards your head. It's more challenging with your palms turned up. Shoulders down, head lifted. Front ribs and belly pull in, still sitting heavy over your heels. Heels are flaring. And then release. I'm gonna come into that downward facing dog. And in that downward facing dog, you can flip the toes of one foot backward and then flip the toes of the other foot backward, stretching the tops of your feet. One foot, then the other. And coming into your downward facing dog, once again, rise to your tippy toes, shift your body weight forward, come to the top of that push-up, pressing back through your heels, the top of that push-up. Knees come down, again, with those toes curled under, sitting back over your heels again. Fingers interlaced, palms pressing away, shoulders down. Front ribs and belly pull in, bringing those hands behind your head, feeling that chest stretch. Pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly. Going for that feeling of fullness in your lower back. And release. Come on down to elbows and knees. Inhale, head up, tail up. And exhale, arch your back. Pulling in your front ribs, pulling in your belly, lifting your knees up, backing your hips up into your dolphin pose. And you can play around flipping one set of toes backwards and then one foot of the other foot backwards. Stretching out those toes a little bit. Dolphin pose, pressing your chest back towards your thighs. And then, of course, from your dolphin pose, you're going to rise to tippy toes, shift your body weight forward, come into your elbow plank, pressing back through your heels. Knees come down to the ground, and you could just back it up into your child's pose. Let's turn this child's pose into a downward facing dog. And then walk your feet all the way up to your hands. And along the way, find your blocks. You're going to park the blocks at the front edge of your mat. Take a giant step back with your right foot. Go long. Use up that yoga mat. Pressing hard through that right heel. Shoulders shrug away from your ears, hands on blocks directly underneath your shoulders. Arms are straight up and down. Pressing hard through that back heel, feeling that calf muscle stretch. So if this is your right leg behind you, find the pocket on that right hip pocket and dump the pocket change out. Pivot on the ball of the back foot. Let that back heel, that's your right heel, swing wide as you dump the pocket change out of that right hip pocket. Right inner thigh lifts up higher towards the ceiling. So right inner thigh lifts up. Shifting forward and backward, step forward, step backward, switch sides, go long, left leg back. So hands on blocks underneath your shoulders. Shoulders are away from your ears. You can hop that back foot a little bit wider just for balance sake. Pivot on the ball of the back foot, swing that left heel wide, dump the pocket change out of that left hip pocket. Let your left inner thigh lift skyward. So we did a fair amount to stretch out those psoas muscles. So hopefully you're able to get that back leg pretty darn straight. Shifting forward and backward, stepping forward, stepping backward, switch sides again. Go long with that right leg. Dump the pocket change out of that right hip pocket. And then let's shorten that right leg. The same thing we were practicing when we were lying down on the ground. You had one knee into your chest and one leg descending down towards the ground. Well, this is the leg here. The straight leg, you're going to pull it into your pelvis. And as you pull it into your pelvis, maybe you could feel that pelvic floor engage a little bit more. So this right leg is straight, but it's also short. Pull it in. As you shorten that back leg, as you pull that back leg forward, maybe you could feel your pelvis pivot. Pelvis is pivoting such that your left hip pulls back as your right hip pulls forward. And then step forward, step back. Left leg is back behind you. I'm just showing you the rear view on this one. Left leg is back behind you. Notice I'm on two separate skis, hands on blocks underneath shoulders. Swing that left heel wide, dump the pocket change out, and then shorten the back leg. And as you pull that left leg forward, the right leg pulls backward. This right butt cheek goes to squeeze up against that left inner thigh. That left inner thigh is lifting skyward, and your whole backside is perky, but shy. Shy and perky at the same time. And you might feel something lovely happening in that lower back. All right, step forward, step back. Switch sides, right leg back behind you. Get shy and perky at the same time. Right leg engages into your pelvis. Left butt cheek up against your right inner thigh. Starting to feel a good, strong, powerful base of support as you bring your arms back behind you like a downhill skier. Front knee is bent on this one. Inhale, arms come up and overhead. You're looking at my backside. Imagine someone was looking at yours. You want this left leg pulling back, this right leg pulling forward. Left butt cheek squeezes up against that right inner thigh. Arms go overhead. And release. Step forward, step back. Let's switch sides. Now you can see my back foot is not touching the ground at all. This back heel is lifted. Back heel swings wide. Close up shop. Release arms behind you like that downhill skier. Really get those hips to work. And then you can bring those arms alongside your ears. Even with your arms coming up, even with your attention focused forward, you're still working that pelvis, working those hips. And release. Step forward, step back. That's your right foot behind you. Working those hips, Arms behind you, downhill skier. Take a moment to grab a hold of those hips. Make sure they're really working. Your back heel can be lifted for the duration. Arms come up alongside your ears. Front ribs and belly pull in. So take your hands out in front of you, and as you press your hands forward, hold those front ribs in. It's like you're doing a push-up, holding that plank pose, pulling in your front ribs, pulling in your belly, feeling even more stretch down the front of that thigh. And release. Step forward, step back. We're building it from the floor up. So there's a good long stride between your feet. There's some width. You're pivoting your hips, pivoting your pelvis. Arms behind you, downhill skier. Take a moment to get them into place. Inner thighs perky up towards the sky. Arms come up alongside your ears. Still working the base of that pose. And then adding in that element of a push-up. Pulling in your front ribs, pulling in your belly. Even stronger stretch down the front of that left hip flexor. And release. Once more on each side. Giant step back, right foot. Squaring off, leveling those hips. Arms behind you, downhill skier. Go ahead, work those hips. You're pulling the left leg back, the right leg forward. Squeezing left butt cheek against the right inner thigh. Arms come up. Coming strong as you gather even more power into your body. Belly lifts up. Back leg super straight. And release. Step forward, step back. So left leg behind you. Squaring off, leveling those hips. Arms behind you, downhill skier. Really working it. Feel that right butt cheek squeezing up against left inner thigh. Arms come up. Front knee is bent. Back leg is straight. Powerful. I always feel like I'm in a video game. I'm shooting lightning or thunderbolts against the room, against the wall. And release. All right, let's turn this into a squat. So your feet are going to go as wide apart as your mat. One foot on either side of your mat. Blocks can go out in front of you. So your feet are mat width apart. Blocks are out in front of you. As you push your hips back, counterbalance, fingertips on blocks. So you do want all your weight going back behind you. You do want to be able to wiggle your toes. Coming down into that squat. If your heels touch the ground, congratulations. Good for you. If your heels aren't quite touching the floor, take your feet wider apart. That might help get your heels down. But if your heels still are not going down, then you fill that gap. You tuck your pillow underneath your heels. Roll up a sticky mat. Put something underneath your heels. You do want your heels touching down. If your knees are not quite happy, you can take some of the load off by putting a brick or two underneath those sit bones. And ideally, ultimately, you're going to be sitting back. All your weight shifting back. Shoulders down, chest lifted. Weight in your heels. Notice in this pose how difficult it is to squeeze your butt cheeks. This is so good for releasing your lower back because you can't squeeze those tight butt cheeks around those lower back muscles and crunch them up here. All right, so we're going to be making our way all the way down to the ground, putting it all together. All of that was prep for what's coming up next, which is a great big bridge pose. So lying down, have your bricks ready to go. Nothing underneath your head. No pillow for you. Knees bent, feet flat. You can put that squeezable thing between your thighs. Feet are going to stay down flat on the ground. Hands on your tummy to begin. Big inhale, big belly breath. And as you exhale, pull that tummy and squeeze the balls, press out all your breath, activate your abs. Exhale on the exertion. Exhale for the exercise. Exhale to engage. And inhale, relax. All right. Exhale, engage, activate everything. Push your feet hard into the floor. Peel your hips up. Inhale, pause. And as you exhale, lower back down. I'm going to do this a few more times. Inhale, pause. As you exhale, squeeze the ball, pull in that pelvic floor, tuck in your front ribs, peel your hips up. You're only going a few inches up off the ground. Inhale, hold. And as you exhale, peel down. Inhale, pause. Exhale, peel up. Inhale, pause. And exhale, peel down. Inhale, pause. Exhale, squeeze that ball, peel up. Inhale, pause. And you're going to stay here. Keep breathing. You can reach down, find your blocks. Hopefully they're nearby. You're still working here. Hips are flying up off the ground. Grab a hold of the long edges of your blocks. You got one block in each hand, pushing hard down into your feet. Feet stay flat. Slide one brick underneath each butt cheek. So there's one brick for each butt cheek configuration, and set your hips down on those blocks. Knees are bent, feet are flat, ball between your thighs. Hips are supported now on those blocks. Just stay here for a moment. Find your front body. Thumbs on the front ribs, fingertips on the hip bones. Inhale. And as you exhale, squeeze the ball, pull in that pelvic floor, tuck in your front ribs, activate those abs, push hard into your feet, peeling your hips up, leading the way with that pubic bone, pushing hard into your feet, lifting your hips up. And maybe you can slide one brick on top of the other, so they're stacked like a layer cake, and rotate it 90 degrees so it's wide width across your butt, and set your hips down on top of those blocks. Now, depending on the dimensions of the blocks, that might be a little bit too much for you. If you have a good fat block, you might just want to be on one block on that 6-inch tall height, wide width across your hips. So we're going to the next level, probably about 6 inches tall underneath your hips at this point. And breathe. Feeling a good stretch through the front of the hips, down the front of the thighs. Front ribs are tucked in, abs are still engaged, still squeezing that ball between your thighs. Inhale. And again, as you exhale, push hard into your feet, push, push, push down, down, down to lift your hips up, up, up. Removing the blocks, working those legs. Your thighs should be instantly fatigued. Ideally, you're still able to breathe here. And if it works for you, you can start working your arms narrow, closer together, underneath your body. Hitchhiking your thumbs out to the sides, getting as much of that upper arm skin tucked underneath your body as you can. Legs stay narrow for the duration. And then slowly widening your shoulders and lowering down. Reach down, remove that ball. Take a moment to knees bent, feet flat. Just rest here. Do not flatten out right away. Stay here. Toes turned in. Heels out, toes in. Lower back on the floor. One foot on either side of your mat. So let your feet wander wider apart, toes in, heels out. Knees leaning together. With one foot on either side of your mat, begin to tick-tock your knees side to side like windshield wipers. Both knees to one side, and then both knees to the other. And when you've made nice with your lower back, you can come to neutral, turning your toes in, letting your knees lean together. Your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to extend one leg at a time, leading the way with your inner thigh. So try putting your inner thighs down first. Maybe even reaching down to help you spread out your backside so those inner thighs reach the floor first. And then relax, let the feet go floppy. Since we stretched out those psoas muscles, stretched out the hip flexors, maybe more of your lower back is touching the ground than usual. And maybe the back of your thighs and lower back are touching the floor at the same time. If this is still not working for you, you can modify your Shavasana, that Ardha Shavasana, that half Shavasana, where you have the knees bent, feet flat. Otherwise, play around with doing the full Shavasana, lying down nice and flat. Shrugging those shoulders, hitchhiking those thumbs out to the sides. You shake your head no, wiggle your jaw. Work up some spit and swallow. And if your neck is still not comfortable, if swallowing still feels choky or uncomfortable, you can put that pillow back underneath your head. No shame in being comfortable. So settle in, find your breath. Feel your belly rise and fall, coming full circle on this glass, finishing the way you began with big belly breaths.